Greetings to all and welcome to another one of our monthly Q&A sessions with Jim McCarty. My name is Jonathan Tong. I'm facilitator for the Seattle Law of One study group. We can be found on the list of study groups at the L&L research page shown on your screen. We do also have a Facebook group, and we do meet on Zoom twice a week, Tuesdays from 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time, Saturdays 8 to 10 a.m. Pacific time. You don't have to live in Seattle or anywhere near Seattle to join our Facebook group or our Zoom sessions. Anyone who's interested and available is welcome to join. Just contact us at seattlelawofone@gmail.com to get on our mailing list. We send out emails once a week with our Zoom links and information on what we are talking about that week. We do also have a YouTube channel where we keep recordings of previous Q&A sessions with Jim, as well as recordings of our podcast episodes. Again, you can just go to our YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button to get notifications when we upload new videos, and contact us at seattlelawofone@gmail.com if you'd like to sit in on any of these Q&A sessions. Otherwise, we are blessed once again to be joined by our good friend Jim McCarty for some informal conversations, question and answers about the law of one. How are you doing today, Jim?
Doing well. It's a nice sunny day here in Louisville, waiting for rain. It's been a while. And I've just finished recording an audiobook for Living Law of One, 103, The Outer Work.
Wow. Finished the entire thing or finished one chapter?
Finished the entire thing. And I wish I could do it again because it was so much fun.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Yeah, we are so looking forward to it. Do you know, like, what's the next step towards making that available for seekers?
No, I don't think there's any set time. Austin just said that sometime next year, the audio and paperback would be available. But the audio and paperback for 102 is supposed to be available this fall. We'll see.
Nice. Super exciting. Super exciting. Looking forward to it. Jim, we have a couple questions that folks have sent in, and I believe we might have some folks here on the Zoom chat who have some questions they'd like to ask too. So I think we're just going to go ahead and get started on it. Say again, if you are on the Zoom call and if you have a question you'd like to ask Jim, go ahead, put them in the chat window, and we'll just take the questions in the order that they appear there. Otherwise, for starters, Jim, I have a question that came from Todd and Elizabeth. They actually sent it in a couple months ago, I think, but we were not able to get to it the last time around. So this is a question about inner planes entities, and I'll just read what they said. The entities that are in the inner planes, are they higher density beings? For instance, are angels or guides? Are they beings that are in a higher dimension or are serving in this fashion? Can you explain what you mean by inner planes entities?
Well, the inner planes are places where all kinds of entities can exist. For example, when it's time for us to leave our incarnation and drop our bodies, then we walk through the veil of forgetting into the inner planes and usually go through some sort of a review with our higher self as to whether or not we met the goals that we pre-incarnatively chose. Also, angels and guides are there. Our higher self, I believe, is there.
So what's the relationship between inner planes entities and densities? Are there densities within the inner planes, or are all the inner planes that we can think of part of third density?
Well, as far as I understand it, the inner planes are just for this third density here, although higher density entities can enter the inner planes. And I think that when Ra was channeling through Carla, they're in the fifth layer of the inner planes here.
Super fascinating how that works. I seem to recall Ra saying something to the effect that, just as there are an infinite level of densities and sub-densities within each density in the outer planes, the same thing holds true in some fashion in the interplanes. But I wasn't sure if those are like just levels of inner planes or if they're different densities or whatever. But yeah, appreciate the clarification. So I believe it has been said that Ra or Quo is in the inner planes of this planet. Is that fair to say?
Yes, when they're
at sometimes
any of our instruments, they're in the inner planes as well. You can also see the inner planes as being time-space rather than space-time, where we're existing right now in the third density. The inner planes are time-space where you can move in time, but not so much in space. Here in space time, we move in space, but time is pretty well fixed, one moment after another.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure that out. Thank you for the clarification. Todd and Elizabeth, hope that answers your question. If not, send in a follow-up question. Otherwise, I see Josh had a couple questions in the chat window. Josh, would you like to go ahead, ask your both questions?
Okay, thank you. Good to see you, Jim. And if these aren't, I know they're not exactly L&L research related, so I'm happy to skip them if you'd rather, Jonathan. But if not, I'll ask. I know Gary Bean from L&L Research has started a Ramana Maharshi study group this year, and it focuses on his teaching of self-inquiry. Are you familiar with that? Have you practiced that? Are you?
No, I'm not.
All
Sorry
right.
for the answer.
Yep. No worries. I suspected that might have been the case. And real quick, I suspect it may be short. There's a thing in the news lately or going around online circles about this 3I Atlas interstellar object heading that is currently in our solar system. And there's some remote viewing done that suggests it may be kind of like a interstellar message in a bottle, projecting some sort of frequency message. Has Quo or any Confederation member said anything about it, or do you have any knowledge about it?
To my knowledge, no Confederation entity that I'm aware of has spoken about it, and I have not heard about it. But I think it might be possible.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Josh. Good to hear your voice.
Great question, Josh.
Oh,
I hadn't even heard about any of that stuff. That's all news to me. So good food for thought. We'll have to check into it. Let's see. I see a couple other questions that have been sent in to us from folks in the Seattle Law of One group. One is from Dan Dunn, who is asking, Jim, would you consider AI or artificial intelligence perhaps the beginning of a social memory complex? Also, could it be that an inevitable outcome of all civilizations is some technology like the internet and AI that points to how we could unify consciousness and fourth density?
Well, once again, I don't know a lot about AI. I've heard it's been used for a lot of good things. People are able to make drawings, to get information about whatever topic you want to get information on. So I really, I'm sorry, I'm not doing too well in his first few questions. I hope to do better in the later ones. But no, I know that Austin has pretty much made a study of AI, and I wish I could channel Austin to you now, but
that would be interesting. Yeah. No, I appreciate the honesty, Jim, and we don't expect you to know the answers to every question, especially when it's about technology or stuff that you haven't really studied. So I will say for Dan Dunn, there have been questions more than a couple times about internet and artificial intelligence. If you just go to the L&L website and click on the little magnifying glass in the upper right-hand corner, that's the search engine, and you could just type in AI and see what comes up. I do recall, just since it's off the top of my head, I do recall reading a session not long ago where the question was about whether the internet could be like the beginnings of a social memory complex. And I seem to remember Quo making one important distinction between the internet and natural intelligence, and that is the heart, the emotional part. They said the internet and AI really functions as a very logical computer brain that works in a logical fashion, and it really, at least at this point, is not capable of any emotional depth or content or understanding. So that would clearly be a big difference between human and mechanical intelligence. If anybody has any follow-up questions on that, feel free to put them in the chat window. Otherwise, we do have another question from Louis Divorced, who asked, could you ask Jim a question about aging? I read several interesting passages that fascinate me. For example, raw 15.4, and I could actually put that on the screen if that would help. Let me put that on. Sorry. Had several interesting passages that fascinate me, including raw 15.4, and I also wonder if this has some form of relationship with what the science and tech sectors are recently focusing on in terms of increasing longevity. This passage that Louis was referring to was from the raw context, session 15, question 4. The question was, why does rapid aging occur on this planet? Ra says, I am Ra. Rapid aging occurs upon this third density planet due to an ongoing imbalance of receptor web complex in the etheric portion of this energy field of this planet. The thought form distortions of your peoples have caused the energy streamings to enter the planetary magnetic atmosphere, if you would so term this web of energy patterns, in such a way that the proper streamings are not correctly imbued with balanced vibratory light love from the, shall we say, cosmic level of this octave of existence. Any thoughts on what Ra was talking about there, Jim, with regard to aging?
This is just my guess, my opinion. I could be wrong. I think that there needs to be a balance between the light of wisdom and the love of the heart for us to be able to process all of our catalysts and to be able to open our heart in love and understanding to everyone around us if possible, but at least 51% of the time. So if we're not able to do that and we focus on light, say, on wisdom of thinking about things and not about feeling them, I would think that the body would have a hard time being able to, in the mind, feel the balance that's necessary in order to feed them both love and light. So that's just my opinion.
That makes perfect sense to me. I think maybe a follow-up question that comes to my mind is, do you think it would also have something to do with adjusting to fourth density light, since, as I understand it, the planet is vibrating fully in fourth density already. It's just that humanity seems to be lagging behind and seems to be kind of clinging to third density thought patterns and third density values. So do you think it would be fair to say that some of this might have to do with adapting to fourth density light?
I think that's very true. As those vibrations of light come in, they're the light of the understanding and love of the fourth density. And it's a greater amount of light, but it's also a greater amount of love. There's a balance there too. So I think that that's true.
Sure. Yeah, I've thought of that before because so many people I know just talk about how exhausted they are from work and family and life and existence itself, and that it would seem that, yeah, if you're kind of tied to third density ways of living, third density ways of being and thinking, then that third density light is gone. And now I think the key might be to adapting to fourth density. I had a passage that I wanted to share with you on this since I had thought about this before. There was a passage from Quo on May 25th, 2003, where they said, as your consciousness begins to feel comfortable swimming in the waters of unconditional love, so the bodies shall find themselves more and more able to enjoy fourth density vibration. Such a beautiful passage and such a beautiful visual image that goes along with that. So food for thought. If you don't mind, as long as I've got my screen share on, I did have a question for you, Jim, about a phrase that Quo has used quite a few times in channeling sessions over the years, and that is, the future is mazed. For example, on March 25th, 2001, they said, the future is mazed to all eyes, and the choices of the peoples of this planetary influence are the primary force, shall we say, that determines any potential dates for harvest. And on February 10th, 2002, they said, your future is mazed from all eyes that look upon it. Seek then to serve each other as if this were your last opportunity to do so. Any idea what they mean when they say the future is mazed, Jim?
unknown. It's determined by how you live your life. You can't predict what's going to happen without living a life that is devoted to finding the love in the moment, to sharing it with everyone around you. And if we don't do that, it's less likely we're going to make our pre-incarnated choices come true, and we'll have to make other choices to hopefully move back where we hope to be. So it's just making the unknown known by how we live our lives.
Nice.
Being conscious seekers of truth. Unless we're conscious that there is something more beyond what we know in the consensus reality, then the future will remain a puzzle to us. And we have to try to put those puzzle pieces together by our hearts and our minds combined. Carla called it a trip of 14 inches from your mind to your heart.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I appreciate your expressing it that way. I think that's kind of what I was thinking too. Certainly as I'm reading the passages, I'm envisioning a maze, like, in my mind's eye, I'm seeing a maze and seeing how each step of our journey along the way, we have choices as far as which fork to take in the road, shall we say, and that all of us together, I guess, are amazing the future we're creating, the future each day through, as you said, the choices that we make each day, which is intriguing for sure. Let's see, I was looking in the chat window for other questions, and I see Elaine has a question. Elaine, would you like to ask your question?
Hi, Jim.
Good
Hi,
morning.
everybody. Thanks for being with us. So, Jim, my question is in the Hatan sessions that you're posting right now in the Camelot Journal, are you the Jim in those sessions? If so, I didn't realize that you were in channeling sessions prior to the Ra sessions. So is that you in those sessions?
Yes, that is me.
Okay.
I know that there was one session where I was attempting to channel Hatan, but it was inaudible. So I had no idea what I said. But on the May 25th, 1980 session, that I had a complete channeling, the first one that I was aware of.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's fascinating. Yeah, I appreciate your asking, Elaine. I have to confess, I have kind of not been reading the Camelot Journal as religiously, shall we say, as I was in previous months or years. So kind of lost track of where we're at. I know that you have made a point of looking at all the channeling sessions that happened before the raw contact. And I guess are most of them with Hatan? Does Latwii make appearances as well?
Yes, Hatan started in 1974 when Carla channeled the first time. And then usually Hatan is the one that's channeled up until about 1979, although there are other entities. One, Latu, that I don't remember at all. And there was Malka and a couple of others. But somewhere around 79 is when Latwii began channeling. But it wasn't always Latwii channeling. They came in and out. It was still mostly Hatan. And there was Oxaw was another fifth density entity that would channel occasionally.
Interesting. Neely had a follow-up question. Did you want to ask your question, Neely?
Sure. Hey, Jim, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. My follow-up question was, were you trained by Carla to channel, or did you come in with your own knowledge of doing it?
I didn't have any knowledge at all of channeling before I met Don and Carla. I believe it was both Don and Carla that helped me learn how to channel, but mostly Carla. And as time has gone on, and where I am now in the Camelot Journal entries, it looks like Don kind of went into he didn't channel as much. And I was always puzzled about that. But now in the last couple of sessions, he's come back and he's channeling a lot more. And but Carla can always be depended upon to be there. So yeah, she was the one that did most of the work and helped me learn how to channel. And I'm really grateful to her for that.
Thank you. And was she doing the challenging and all that from the very beginning, or is this something that kind of developed over time?
I believe that developed over time. I think it took a while before uh, anybody discovered that it was a good idea to do that. Uh, and I don't know exactly what it was that gave them that feeling. I know that another thing that happens now all the time when we channel is that Quo will say, please take it, whatever we say with a grain of salt, take it or leave it. You know, this is just our opinion. But that wasn't a process that developed for the first 6 or 8 years at least. So I think everything had to develop over a period of time through trial and error.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a,
Go
I have
for
a
it.
little follow-up, if it's okay.
Of course.
Jim, there's also a few references to an entity there called Nona,
Oh, yeah.
and apparently Carla had a connection with that entity. Can you say anything about that?
I don't know where Nona came from. I don't know her density. It has to be at least fourth density. But I know that the way Carla usually channeled her was by singing. And it was
Mhm.
inspirational type of singing that you would really take it into your spirit more than into your mind and into your heart. And whenever she would sing Nona, uh, well, my heart would get big, you know.
Ah, cool, thank you.
Thank you.
Elaine, if you're interested, remind me, email me or something, because the question of somebody asked a question about Nona months ago, and I
Oh,
think Gary took it upon himself to dig into the archives, and he did manage to find at least 3 recordings of Nona singing them, and I have posted them before
ooh,
on the
okay.
Seattle Log One Facebook group, and could do it again if you remind me.
Oh, I
They
will.
are
Thank you.
beautiful.
Thank
They
you. Okay.
sound angelic to me. That's what I think when I hear it. It sounds very angelic.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Jim, I had a follow-up question too, as long as we're talking about these channelings. And anyone on the Zoom call, we've got plenty of time, and I'm not actually seeing any other questions in the chat window. So yeah, feel free to jump in there if you have any follow-up questions or new questions that you'd like to ask. I was just wondering, Jim, as we were talking about the different Confederation entities that appeared in these pre-raw channelings, whether it's Latos or Oxal or Nona or whoever, were you channeling them? And if so, did you have a sense of different personalities, different vibrations, different feelings as you were channeling them, that they were indeed different entities?
Yeah, I did. I channeled all of those except for Nona. And it seemed to me that the higher the density, the more intense the feeling was. In those days, we were given what's called conditioning, so that our mouths would feel the movement in our mouths. Maybe the hair on our neck would stand up. Um, Things like that, even the hair on your arms. But that is something that happened then. I don't. It's been years since I've ever felt anything like that. But yeah, when Hatan was channeling, I felt very calm and very easy. Uh, then Latui was a higher density, a higher vibration. I felt a little more like I had to pay attention more, that it was harder for me to get the words or the concepts. So that was basically it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. That is just so fascinating and so foreign to me. I have no idea. Did you ever get any sense that any of those entities may have more of a masculine or feminine identity, shall we say, or were they pretty much non-gender as far as you could tell?
I didn't feel any gender at all. If anything, I felt a combination.
Which would make sense. Yeah. I do see a question in the chat window from Pat Patria, would you like to ask your question about Logoi, I believe?
Yes, thank you. Hi, Jim. Thanks for this so much. Could you please speak about Logoi and if the logos is beyond density, or if it resides in a density, or if our logos is in a different density than other logoi, and if logoi go through the harvest process like this density, like we are? Thank you.
Okay, Logoi are the creators of galaxies. Like our Milky Way galaxy was created by one logos. And the primal logos can also be seen as the one infinite creator. So the various logoi that create the galaxies are those who also have sub-logoi, like our sun, that creates our solar system. But none of these logoi or sub-logoi go through any process of maturation or incarnations through the densities like we do. They are the combination of all the densities. And each of us, by the way, is a sub-logos.
It's a great question. Any follow-ups on that, Pat?
So they're in is Quo a channel for logo? Like, is when someone's channeling Quo, are they channeling the logos?
No, Quo is what they called a principle that contains entities from the fourth, fifth, and sixth density. The entity of Hatan, a fourth density, Latui, a fifth density, which usually gives the voice to Quo, and then Ra in a step down fashion that does not require trance, but is not as specific in their giving of information to those of Latui to channel through any instrument channeling Quo.
Would it be fair to say, Jim, then that a sublogos is analogous to a star like our sun, and that Quo is made up of three social memory complexes, which would be analogous to planets, three different planetary consciousnesses around some other sublogos, some other star?
That's very likely true. I mean, we know that Ra, third density, was on Venus, and but we don't know really, as far as I remember, what planet Hatan was from or Latui.
Right.
But they very likely were from. I mean, that's the way it works. You know, you go through the cycles of incarnations on planets that have various densities.
Yeah. Makes sense to me, I think, as much as anything can or does. Does that make sense to you, Pat? Did you have follow-up questions, or did you get answer to your questions?
I'm still kind of confused about like the how logos or the logoi are like culminations, or like the all the densities, or like kind of beyond density. It's kind of uh, blowing my mind a bit. But they're trying. I'm trying hard to think about it and understand it.
It's
But
blowing all
it's
of our
difficult.
minds, Pat. You are not alone on that. Yeah. Would you like
Okay,
to
well,
elaborate that on a little bit more, Jim, as far as a
yeah.
sublogos being in all densities?
Each of us on this Zoom meet is a combination of first, second, and third density. We've all been through that. The first density is simple awareness, second density of awareness plus the body, and then the third density awareness, the mind, body, and spirit. So the logoi of the goes who has all of those densities in it. Try to put it that way. So they have the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. And Ra, of course, was up through the sixth. And in the density of foreverness, we will be in the seventh. And then in the eighth density, we will all be the creator. We will all coalesce into the one end of the creator. And we'll start the whole process over again.
Yeah, and part of it seems to go back to what you were saying earlier about, the whole time, space, and time is an illusion thing, because I believe it has been said that we all exist already in all of our densities, and that this illusion that we're just this one point in time in our third density incarnation is just an illusion insofar as we exist in all densities already.
Oh yeah,
Is that
well, we're
fair,
all
or am I misrepresenting that?
no, that's perfectly true. We're all the creator. We're all already the creator. We're just going through this veil of forgetting, this whole process, going through the densities once again to help the creator know more about itself. Everything is the creator. This Zoom meet, the microphones I'm speaking into, my computer, the world you live in, it's all the creator. There's nothing but the creator.
Indeed. Go meditate on that for a while, Pat. You too, watching this on video, who has no idea what we're talking about. Michael, you've had a question in the chat window, I believe. Would you like to go ahead and ask? And then I see Josh after that.
Yeah, sure. It's a little lengthy of a question. Towards the end of the Law of One sessions, Dawn was really focused on questions around the Tarot and the archetypical mind. And I'm just curious, Jim, from your perspective, was that more of an interest of Dawn, or did you share that interest? And if so, do you continue to pursue that area of study? And if not, are there any other areas of study that you continue to pursue?
Well, to tell you the truth, I'm not sure exactly why Don was interested in the tarot, other than that there already was a set of tarot cards. People had been using them for years, and supposedly being able to tell you something about your future or your past or your potential by using the tarot cards, certain ones that would come up and give you an indication. So what we found out through the going through the archetypical mind and the tarot was it basically gave us the nature of our spiritual journey, the nature of the process of evolution of the mind, the body, and the spirit. And we got the details about the mind, but for the body and the spirit, we just got general descriptions. And that sort of meant that we had to fill that in for ourselves. And so for a period of time, I did study the tarot and tried to discover what it meant in my life. But to tell you the truth, I did not feel that it was really my calling to travel that path. But I'm always glad that it was part of it, to help travel it. I know that Ra was really glad for us to be talking about that, because nowhere else in the Ra contact, when they responded to a question, did they say, "Oh, student, you have discerned something below what most people do. You have pierced the illusion." "Oh, student" was something only that happened during the study of the archetypical mind.
That must have been so delightful for Don to hear. Do you remember how Don responded to that? Was he as giddy and as excited about it as Ra seemed to be from their Ra point of view?
I think he was excited because it expanded his realm of knowledge. This was something that he had never really gotten into in depth. Like I say, it was nothing more than the tarot card readings that he ever heard of before. But when he heard there was something spiritual behind it that was more than just predicting your future, that got him going. Because who else could really do that other than those of Ra could tell us about what this or that facet of the archetypical mind, the high priestess, the magician, the catalyst of the mind, Hierophant. It's just one layer of information over another, and it didn't seem to have an end.
It is super fascinating to me, for sure. I appreciate your asking the question, Michael. Did you have any follow-ups on that?
Just if there's any other areas of study in terms of symbols or symbology that you may pursue.
Not really. Meditation is something that has become more important to me as time has gone on. And that is something that those of Ra always said, that it was seeking that still small voice of the one creator within you. So I look for my meditations throughout the day to give me some indication of what I'm supposed to be doing. And basically looking for means of being of service to others, the coincidences of what comes my way, and to look at any coincidence being a way of being of service. So my meditation is basically the path I travel today.
Great question, Michael. Did you have anything else? Any other follow-ups?
Just to say thank you to Jim. Thanks for being available for us.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it.
Great question. Did want to note for our viewers that we have had a couple Seattle Law of One podcast episodes on the subject of one of the archetypical mind, and then we had one specifically on the 7 archetypes of the mind. I believe we are recording a podcast episode in a couple days on the archetypes of the body with our good friends Neely and Andy, who are on the Zoom call right now and who facilitate their own archetypical mind study group. So anyone watching on video who's interested, just contact me at seattlelaw1@gmail.com if you're interested in pursuing any further studies on this. Otherwise, Josh, did you have a couple questions you wanted to ask?
Yeah, thank you. These questions are on behalf of Valerie. So she asks at first, how long would it take someone to learn to channel if they were going to start learning today in the lineage of L&L's method?
I don't think there's an answer to that question because I think that it varies according to people's abilities. Some people have natural ability to receive telepathic information, and some people don't have so much. When I was learning to channel, I think it took me a little longer than I had anticipated because I just didn't have that ability. But once I got going, it was sort of like exercising a muscle, it got stronger. So I think it varies from person to person.
All right, thank you. And the second one is, how would you know that your challenge has worked? The challenge in the beginning of channeling was successful.
Well, what Carla suggested that we do in making that challenge is first discover what it was in our lives that meant the most to us. Was it a person, a Jesus, Moses, any guru or a principle, something that we would live for, be delighted to live for, and if necessary, willing to die for. So Carla decided, and I followed suit soon after, that she would channel in the name of Jesus the Christ, because she had experiences with Jesus when she was a very young girl. And she knew that he was her Lord and Savior. So when she challenged in the name of Jesus Christ, she challenged 3 times. She said, do you come in the name of Jesus Christ? And can you say that he is the Lord of love? And so if she knew that nobody, any negative entity or anybody would lie to Jesus. So I used to challenge in the name of the Christ consciousness, but after Carla passed into larger life, I decided that challenging in the name of Jesus was the way to go, because I had my own experience with Jesus that let me know that he was in my heart. That was the experience that I had. So I continue to challenge in the name of Jesus.
But then, thank you. But is there a specific identifying sensation or feeling that if, for a new channel, although I understand you've been doing it for decades, that they might be able to identify if it was successful or not? Like if they weren't, maybe if they're still figuring out, like for you, Jesus, who they might find most powerful for them, they're still exploring to figure it out, and maybe they haven't landed on the most whichever one that actually works the best. So is there a way to identify whether the challenge failed, or there's no way to tell?
Well, I can't speak for anybody but myself.
Sure.
It's the feeling I have that when I challenge Quo, do you come in the name of Jesus Christ? Can you say that Jesus is the Lord of love? It's just the feeling I have, the intuition I go with. And so far as I can tell, I've always gotten the right response. They say yes.
Okay, Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Those are great questions, Josh and Valerie. Thank you for asking. And Jim, thank you for sharing your experiences. Joe, did you have a follow-up on this?
I did. Hi, Jim. Nice to see you.
Good to see you again.
In fact, I've got two questions now. One is the follow-up, which is it your experience that negative entities can lie?
Well, I have not had an experience where I was in touch with a negative entity. There was one time when I was in my own meditation during the raw contact, and I felt that there was some entity there that wanted to speak through me. And I mentioned that to Carl and Don, and so they asked a question, and Ross said, well, this you need to find a way of challenging so that you know who you have on the line. Because as Carla said, it's a crowded universe. So that was my only experience with a negative entity. So what was the other part of your question?
No, the other part, which is totally unrelated and not, it was actually to ask how hopefully is.
I'm sorry, say again.
Hopefully, how is hopefully?
Oh, well, she's asking about, excuse me, a little kitty cat that showed up on my porch about 6 weeks ago. And I'm trying to give it enough food to stay alive, but he's doing so well with that we're afraid that he must have worms. And so I need to be able to, I've changed his name, by the way, to Faithfully.
Oh,
I want to go beyond hope to faith that maybe one day he will be a kitty cat that I can pet and he'll purr. Right now, he's basically feral. I can get within about 3 feet of him. He's eating the bowl of food and it moves closer to me. So what I need to be able to do is to take a little net I've got on the porch, and when he's walking away from me after eating, then put it around him and then get the medication and put it between his shoulder blades to cure him of the worms he undoubtedly has, because sometimes he eats 5 or 6 cans a day, and that is not normal for a cat. But basically, he's doing well. I see him frequently, and I talk to him. I tell him I love him, that I hope that he has a really great day and keep eating that food. And would he mind if I gave him some medication sometime? He never responds to any of those, of course, but he's a sweet kitty cat.
that's good to know. Good, I'm so pleased. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for both questions. Jim, I had a follow-up question to go back to the question of challenging and channeling. Have you had the experience of entities who failed the challenge, where they were not able to tell you Jesus was Lord in front of you and Jesus 3 times and disappeared in a puff of smoke or whatever?
No, I haven't.
No. I guess it's working. I guess one other follow-up question, I think that came to me at some point in the previous conversation. In terms of challenging in the name of something or someone that you live or die for, do you think a key part of why that works is because it is getting to such a pure level of service to others that you are saying that you would give your life for this other thing, person, and that level of purity of service to others is just something that a service to self entity cannot be around?
Yeah, I think so. One of the things that Ross suggested, that when we were aware of any negative entities around, that what we should do was to meditate and send them love and light, because we meant it, not because we wanted them to leave, but because we meant it. We do love you too. And that is something that coincidentally they cannot take. They don't want to be loved. They want to be obeyed.
Mhm.
It's a win-win for everybody, I think. Yeah. Appreciate you sharing that, Jim. Love the questions that have come. I believe I see one more question in the chat window, and we'll probably wrap it up after that. But if you are on the Zoom call and you still have a question you'd like to ask, I'd say last chance, go ahead and put it in the window. Otherwise, Pat, you may have the last question.
Thank you so much. And thanks again, Jim, for this. So back to the quo being entity or principle. I recognize it as a principle, but what does that really mean? And it's like it's really fascinating because it's like a council, but is it too reductionist to use like a 3D analogy as like a documents saved in a file, saved in a cabinet, in like a filing cabinet, or is that like too reductionist? Thank you.
Well, I'm not sure where the term principle came from, if it came from Quo or if it came from Carla, because she always wanted to channel the highest and best source of information that she ever could. And when she first began channeling Quo in January of 1986, she challenged them, and they said that they were a group of 3 social memory complexes, which meant that there was a lot. Well, Ra had 6.5 million people in their social memory complex. We don't know how many Latui and Hatan had. So I think that the word principle might have just been chosen by Carla to suggest that this is the way I describe it. This was something that was unknown before. Had to come up with some sort of description, so that a principle rather than a social memory complex or a group.
It's a great question. Pat, did you have any follow-ups on that? I appreciate your asking. I have wondered about that too. It seems an unusual use of the word principle when they could have just said we're a group, we're a council, we're a coalition, we're I don't know what, but yeah, appreciate. But it seems to work. I do see Daniel has one more question. Daniel, you want to go ahead and ask?
Oh, hi, Jim.
Hey, Daniel.
Um, we have a participant at the homecoming in Kentucky. Her name was Heidi. So I have a question. So I learned that she worked with Jen Puharich, and she wrote an amazing book, by the way, but I can recommend. And you can tell me a bit more about the connection between Don and her. And I learned also that you met her basically the first time at the homecoming in person.
Yes. And she came and stayed a couple of nights with me here, and we had a lot of conversations about Don and Carla, how she met them before I had ever met them. She was part of a group that was working with Andrija Puharich, who wrote the book Uri, you might be familiar with. But before that, he was also working with what he called space kids. And I think that we would call them today wanderers. And he was working to increase their telepathic ability, because he knew that there were entities outside of our third density Earth that could communicate with us if we had the ability to receive their communications telepathically. So that was basically what was going on there. I think this is also why he called his work with them part of the mind link, the linking of minds together so that there could be a receiving of information from extraterrestrial sources. And so that was what he was doing in the time that Heidi knew him. She was one of the space kids at that time. And she really enjoyed being chosen because you had to meet a certain level of ability to become one of the chosen that Andre wanted to work with to enhance your telepathic abilities. And I think, so what was it that she had a set of keys that she had lost, and they were gone for 3 days, and all of a sudden they appeared at her feet. And when she told Andre about that, she said, well, that's the kind of person I'm looking for, that has these kind of things happen to you, because this suggests that you have some telepathic ability. Now, I don't know why having keys disappear and appear suggested telepathic ability, but Andrea said that that was one of the reasons he accepted her as one of the space kids.
The story about the car keys, it was a car keys, it was fully described in the book. It was very mysterious, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Thank you, Jim. Mm.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thanks for the question, Daniel. And for our viewers who are not familiar with, could you say the person's name again and the title of the book?
Her name is Heidi Jurka, and The Making of the Sick. Can you see that one?
The Making of a Psychic. How do you spell Heidi's last name?
Is Jurka.
And it's pronounced Jurka.
Jurka. Great. Thank you very much. Yeah, much appreciated. If it's okay with you, Jim, I think we're going to go ahead and call that the last official question. But you know, of course, that we are not done answering questions yet, because I have 3 more questions for you as part of our pop quiz. Pop quiz, of course, is something we like to do to end our time together on a fun note and maybe look for Law of One connections in pop culture. So since we are recording today on October 4th, it seems only fitting that we should have this month's pop quiz on a very special holiday that comes at the end of this month as celebrated in Mexico. And I am referring, of course, to Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. Are you at all familiar with this holiday, Jim? Have you been to Mexico?
Not at all, but that's an amazing outfit she's got on.
Yeah, isn't it something? Yeah.
Looks like she's
Beautiful
dancing.
holiday, beautiful way of celebrating the dead. And I have not been to Mexico and I only know a little bit about it. So I apologize in advance if anything I'm going to say is inaccurate. Yeah, well, just for the fun, we're all going to learn together. Got 3 questions about this very special holiday. And if you are on the Zoom call, feel free to put your answers in the chat window. If you're watching on video, feel free to say your answers out loud. We can hear you through time space. As always, the points don't matter. If you had fun, you won. And if you learned something new about this beautiful country, the beautiful people and beautiful culture, you won as well. Are you ready for your first question, Jim?
Yep.
First question is, when is Dia de los Muertos celebrated? Is it A, October 31st and November 1st, B, November 1st and 2nd, or C, November 3rd and 4th?
Well, I'd have to go with A.
Nice. Correct answer is traditionally Dia de los Muertos is celebrated on November 1st and 2nd because it's divided into 2 days to honor the deceased. The division aligns with the Catholic holidays of All Saints' Day on November 1st and All Souls' Day on November 2nd, which were incorporated into celebration after the Spanish colonization of Mexico. Other days, including October 31st or November 6th, may be added depending on the locality. It's celebrated in different countries in Latin America. Did you celebrate Halloween as a kid, Jim? Did you go trick-or-treating and all that good stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
Oh, sure. You know, I'd love candy and sweet stuff then.
Oh, God, yeah. Who doesn't? Do you still celebrate Halloween now? Do you like decorate the house? Do you have trick-or-treaters come by?
No, I think here in Anchorage, they have a program over at the Anchorage school for the kids can go there and have a good time. So there's
Nice.
no trick-or-treaters coming to my door anymore.
Well, I'm glad they have someplace to go. How about your second question, which is, what animals are most closely associated with celebrations of Dia de los Muertos? Is it A, monarch butterflies, B, Mexican swallows, or C, Xoloitzcuintli? And I'm not going to tell you what that is. Either you know it or you don't, the last one.
Okay,
But you
Elaine,
will learn it soon.
I'm asking my pen pal for help. I'll say A, monarch butterflies.
Monarch butterflies is good. Yeah, indeed. For folks who didn't know the timing of the Dia de los I'm going to have fun saying this for the next 5 minutes. Dia de los Muertos coincides with the monarch butterfly migrations, both from the West Coast and the East Coast. And the ones from the East Coast, I believe, converge on particular places not far from Mexico City, where they fill the forests and the trees and cover everything in that beautiful orange color.
They look like leaves on a tree.
They do. I do.
Oh,
Do you see many monarch butterflies in your area? Do you get many
yeah,
butterflies in your garden?
Yeah, they're pollinators. I love them.
Nice. Yeah. I do remember seeing some at the homecoming in Kentucky. It was a beautiful sight, beautiful to see. Sholuk Squintley, in case you didn't know, is a big-eared dog that I think goes all the way back to the Aztecs and is considered a very special animal. And anyone who's seen the movie Coco, that was the dog that was Miguel's spirit guide in the afterworld. How about your third question? What flowers are most commonly used to celebrate Dia de los Muertos? Is it A, carnations, B, chrysanthemums, or C, marigolds?
I'll go with C, marigolds.
Nice. Are you just guessing? Do you know?
No, I'm just guessing because I love marigolds. I have some out in my garden.
Oh, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, indeed, marigolds. Yeah. They are often used to decorate ofrendas and grave sites, and their petals are used to create pathways for spirits of the deceased to come back and celebrate with their families. Apparently, they have a strong smell as well, but I'm not totally familiar with that. Do the marigolds in your garden have a strong smell, Jim?
Not as far as I can tell. Well, I can smell them. They're nice, but they're not strong.
Oh, nice. Beautiful.
When you
Well,
pick you can really smell. I love picking and putting them on my altar. They smell amazing.
oh, nice. Beautiful. Well, we're learning about the law of one and gardening today. So, Jim, as always, it's been a pleasure and a joy to hang out with you. Thank you for making time again to hang out with us today. Did you have any final thoughts, reflections you'd like to share before we say goodbye?
You all have heard this before, and I'm going to say it again. I don't have any more fun on any other podcast than I have when I'm with you all, because we meet every month and we get to form a little social memory complex with a lot of love and a little wisdom thrown in for spice. And I look forward to every time with you. I hope that you all have a great day, and I look forward to our next time together. I love you all.
We love you so much, my friend. Right back at you. Thank you for all you've done and all you continue to do in service to others. To all our friends at L&L Research, thank you for all you've done and continue to do in service to others. To everyone who took time out of their busy day to join us on Zoom today, thank you for all you've done and continue to do in service to others. To you who are watching this on video at some time in the near or perhaps very distant future, thank you for all you've done and continue to do in service to others. We're sending you our love light, and we're receiving yours. Until next time, with the love and light of the one infinite creator. Adonai. Namaste.